Don't forget to enter our Amazon gift card giveaway. All you have to do is be a subscriber, like and comment. Hey guys, the upcoming 5th episode is the final big battle episode of the show. This episode is where the things will actually go down, and when the last War of King's Landing for the Iron Throne will be completed. Obviously, many characters are going to die in this episode, and that's what we are going to talk about in this video. We are bringing you characters that are most definitely going to die tonight, starting with Jaime and Cersei Lannister. Jaime and Cersei will die together. This has been heavily foreshadowed throughout the entire series, not only TV series, but the book series as well. The Lannister twins will die together much like they were born together and spend their lives together. In A Feast for a Crow, Cersei says this about her and Jaime: "We will leave this world together, as we once came into it." In A Storm of Swords, Jaime says this: "I cannot die while Cersei lives. We will die together as we were born together." In A Dance with Dragons, Cersei says this about Jaime to her uncle: "If he were dead, I would know it. We came into this world together, uncle. He would not go without me." In Season 5, Episode 4, Jaime told Bronn that he'd like to die in the hands of a woman he loves, and even Olenna foreshadowed Cersei will eventually be the end of Jaime. Olenna said to him, "You poor fool, you love her. She'll be the end of you," and Jaime responded with, "Possibly." Jaime and Cersei will die together in tonight's episode. Jaime will arrive at King's Landing early on in the episode, and here in this shot you can see a hooded man passing through the Golden Company as they march out of King's Landing to face the upcoming Dany's forces. That hooded man is Jaime Lannister. It's the same cloak and hood he had when arriving in Winterfell, and now he's got it when arriving at King's Landing. While the Golden Company marches outside the Red Keep, Jaime is heading towards it to face Cersei. At the end of Episode 4, Cersei chose violence over negotiations and killed one of Dany's best friends and most loyal advisors. It was a perfect way to set up the hype and thirst of vengeance for us the viewers, but also for Dany. Cersei woke the dragon, and she will suffer the consequences in Episode 5, Fire and Blood. Dany has lost almost everything, and if Cersei thinks she is safe just because she invited citizens inside the Red Keep, she is up for a big surprise, as Missandei's last words said Dracarys. I can guarantee you Dany and the Unsullied will go on an execution spree in King's Landing. They will unleash all they have on Cersei, but unfortunately I think that will be exactly what Cersei wanted. If Cersei did not want Dany to attack King's Landing and the Red Keep but rather wanted to end the war some other way, Cersei would not have beheaded Missandei. Cersei wants Dany to attack, and it's all part of her plan to end Dany in her poetic justice way. I think Cersei has worked out this entire plan in her head, and we will now watch it play out. Perhaps she wants Dany to unleash Drogon and start burning King's Landing, bringing Cersei opportunity to use many Qyburn Scorpions to bring down her last dragon, and then use the Golden Company, Lannisters and Euron's forces to deal with the remains of Dany's forces. Or perhaps she intends to get them all fighting inside the capital, and then burn them all with wildfire. Or even more possibly, Cersei knows her reign is over, but she will not just accept it, she is going to pull Dany with her. Cersei worked hard on a PR in King's Landing, and made the small folk see Dany as a conqueror rather than a liberator. The army of the dead is a myth for them, a lie. Cersei also invited all the small folk to hide behind their walls, earning their loyalty, when in reality she is inviting them inside to use them as a shield from Dany and her dragons. Now Dany is left with no choice but to kill Cersei, which will unfortunately take many small folk lives along. She tried to negotiate, she tried everything, and all she has got in return was losing almost everyone she cares about. Dany is going to burn Euron's fleet in Episode 5. Drogon will avenge his fallen brother, and Euron is not resistant to dragonfire as the Night King was. But Euron and his fleet will not be the only thing that's going down burning. Most of King's Landing will as well. Cersei is hiding inside the Red Keep and got herself surrounded by the small folk. Dany's got no choice but to burn the Red Keep, even if it means many innocent people will die along, and she will in Episode 5 as leaked photos seem to be confirming, and unfortunately I think it's all part of Cersei's plan. She knows she lost Game of Thrones, and when you play this game you win or you die. She knows she cannot win this war, but she can make look Dany like the Mad Queen, by making her burn all the innocent if she wants to burn her as well. One way or another, Cersei's face expression she gives Dany after killing Missandei is basically telling that that's exactly the reaction she wanted from Dany, to unleash fire and blood on the capital. I'm a bit upset knowing that after this many will declare Dany the Mad Queen, which she is definitely not, and Jon will then have to kill her to protect the realm. In my opinion, even if she ends up burning the entire King's Landing, it's justified. She tried absolutely everything to avoid it. She did not want to do it back in Season 7, when she thought there might be some other better solution to avoid many civilian casualties, but now there really is none. Dany has to kill her enemies, and that does not make her the Mad Queen. Aegon the Conqueror burned many castles to the ground, ended up many houses, which of course killed many innocent people along, as it usually goes with every war, but you don't see people calling him the Mad King. Leaked photos confirm that many parts of King's Landing will indeed be burned down by Dragonfire. For the final season of Game of Thrones, the production for the very first time, instead of filming King's Landing scenes in Dubrovnik, they decided to make a huge King's Landing set in Belfast, and film most of the scenes there. All King's Landing shots you saw in episode 4 were filmed on that set. It's not a real city, it's a huge enormous set. The reason they built that set is so they can burn it down. That's the reason they had to build this huge set, rather than film all the scenes in Dubrovnik. However, as you can see in these leaked photos, the set was later burned down with a huge bridge between demolished towers. Dany using Drogon has seemingly burned down huge portion of the capital, including King's Landing Dome. It's a well-known fact that the show built a King's Landing set mainly to do live pyrotechnics. It means that some parts of the capital will be burned down by a dragon, as Dragonfire in Game of Thrones is portrayed by live pyrotechnics. Dany's dragon that is responsible for a huge portion of the capital being burned down was spotted on this King's Landing set. What this means is that Dany will probably land at King's Landing, either because Drogon is mortally wounded and cannot fly anymore, or she decides to land after she's burned everything down. In case you're not really into filming and behind the scenes clips, let me remind you that if actors have to mount or dismount a dragon, part of its spine has to be physically recreated, which is exactly what this massive contraption on King's Landing set is. This massive contraption being on this very same set means that Dany will at some point decide to land in King's Landing. We have all known that dragons would eventually fly over King's Landing, as Bran saw it in his vision of the future, and we now know for a fact it's Dany riding Drogon, just moments before she unleashes her vengeance on the Red Keep. Speaking of Bran's visions from the future that are yet to come true, we also have this one of the destroyed throne room covered in ashes. Let me remind you that while prophecies in Game of Thrones don't literally come true, visions on the other hand do. All Bran's visions already came true, including wildfire attacks Cersei used on the Sept of Baelor, and the only two visions that are yet to come true, a vision of a shadow flying above the capital and the Red Keep destroyed, will both come true in tonight's episode. Supported with leaked photos, the fall of King's Landing is confirmed. Dany will burn down the Red Keep, killing Cersei and finally ending her reign. Dany will end up killing many innocent people along, but Dany really doesn't have a choice. If she wants Cersei dead, she's got to kill all the innocent people Cersei invited inside to act as her shield, or even more possibly her post-death master plan to destroy Dany. Dany will burn down Euron's fleet and the Red Keep, killing Cersei, but also most likely killing Jaime as well, who will probably be with Cersei. The Lannister twins came to this world together, and they will now live together. Unfortunately, after Dany kills Cersei, she will then face Cersei's special plan, Cersei's poetic justice. Cersei knew Dany would win this war, and that's why she invited all the small folk to die alongside her, so that Dany would have to kill all the innocent people to get her, to ensure that Dany appears to be no better than her father, which will lose her trust of her army and her closest advisors. When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. She lost and she died, but she made sure Dany would seem like the Mad Queen. That's her final move. Jon will kill Dany because of it, although not in episode 5, but in the final episode. I think throughout the entire episode 5, all these different people, all Dany's loyal advisors, will start telling Jon how Dany is becoming much like her father, wanting to burn the entire King's Landing and all the innocent people, everything to kill Cersei, and become the queen. Jon will tell Dany that Varys is conspiring behind her back, and Dany will burn him alive. Then later Dany will burn down the Red Keep, killing Cersei and Jaime, but also a bunch of innocent people, and that's when Tyrion will probably decide that Varys was right after all, and that's when Tyrion will tell Jon that Dany is the Mad Queen, and they need to stop her. At the end, after King's Landing has been burned down and many innocent people have died, I can see Jon killing Dany. So long story short, Dany finally gets to kill Cersei and Jaime, and she wins the Iron Throne, but she will not be able to sit on it because Jon will have to kill her, convinced that she's become her father's daughter and she'll join Drogo and her son on the other world, fulfilling Cersei's poetic justice plan for Dany. Before Dany burns down the Red Keep, the Hound and the Mountain will also fight, and even though I think the Hound will have the upper hand, I think both brothers will die. As I mentioned earlier in this video, Varys will also die in episode 5. This was heavily hinted and foreshadowed to happen tonight. First off, Melisandre prophesied he would die, and we know Melisandre speaks truth. Varys has also betrayed Dany and sided with Jon Snow, and Dany will have to execute him for that. Dany did warn him that if he ever sees another person that is more fit to rule than she is, to tell her that in her face, and not to plot to overthrow her behind her back, or otherwise she'd burn him alive. And what did Varys do after hearing Jon is a Targaryen? He immediately started plotting behind her back. I do not believe Tyrion is going to tell Dany of Varys' betrayal. I think Jon will. In this shot from episode 5, Jon arrives at Dragonstone, and Luke was there to greet him and have a little chat. Varys. I think Varys will say to Jon that he knows he's a Targaryen, and that he would make a far better ruler than Dany. Jon would obviously reply to that with, Dany is my queen, what you're telling me is a treason. So Varys tells Jon tells Dany about how she was right, he shouldn't have told anyone, and now Varys is already plotting to put him on the Iron Throne. Dany will then burn Varys alive. I believe here Dany commands Grey Worm to find and bring her Varys to execute him for a treason, and this is a shot of Tyrion concerned and worried. Okay guys, that will be all the major deaths that will most definitely happen in tonight's episode. Please let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comment section down below. And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to subscribe to our channel, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.